Okay, scholars, welcome to World Civ. You've had world history, I'm sure, in seventh grade or whatever, and at least my kids all had it then, and great textbooks, and you know a lot about all sorts of things. This is not a world history class. This is a class about world civilizations, and actually it's an interesting time to teach this. There's going to be a lot of questions I think we have to deal with this semester that we wouldn't have had to deal with last semester. Just the nature of being civilized and what it means to be like a Christian nation gets talked. These are all big things on all the news media and everything else. And there's a lot of pugnacity, excuse me, and going on, and this is not abnormal, and it is actually part of a big way of thinking. You know, the idea of what is the role of Christianity, especially in good government, and by good government in the modern world, we tend to think of it as a government that supports the people, and notions of equality. There's a lot of utopian ideas that get out there, but then the freedom. These are all questions in our class. World Civilizations is a class. Where do these come from? Why do we do this? There is a deeply biblical foundation to a whole bunch of this stuff, and also a deeply classical, what we call a classical foundation, which comes out of the vitality of intellectual life of the West Asia and Eastern Mediterranean. West Asia meaning, Iraq, Iran, the Jews, the Hebrew peoples, Egypt especially, Ethiopia plays a big role. We got to talk about these sort of things, I was reading this weekend about Rastafarianism and stuff like that, which deep political ideas that go back to Haile Selassie in Ethiopia was named the Lion of Judah, and Ethiopia sees itself as a lot of places see themselves as a type of nation that is leading the rest of the world. A nation meaning a people, a governmental system. And Ethiopia is in turmoil now, as if you follow the news, and we've been sort of in a big tumultuous thing going on here still. So, hey, there's a lot of I'm 63 years old, and so I thought back in when I heard George H.W. Bush give his presidential inaugural address about a kinder, gentler America, about 1,000 points of light, I really thought, well, and then the Cold War is over, the wall has gone down, and, I was full of optimism back, but here we are today, and so, I'm here as a sort of professor to sort of help you think. We're going to get into some great books and stuff like that, help you think about this world we're living in, man. And this nation that we're part of, and maybe what is its role in the world? We confidently assume that, and correctly assume that we are a leading nation in the world, leading especially in the ideas of good government, and the ideas of civil process, and the ideas of politics, and mostly, especially in this notion of republics. And so we're going to be talking about where all this comes from, where this language of freedom comes from. Comes from, deep in the Bible, deep in classical roots, We're going to be reading Herodotus. Herodotus is great. These books that we're going to read large sections of them. You're not going to read the whole thing of Herodotus. But the thing is it's about happiness and freedom at its core. And why is there war? Why is there conflict? Why don't we just have happiness and freedom? See, this book is forever, at the forefront of our thoughts in the modern world. And so we need to talk about that book and things like that, even if people don't know about it. All right, hey, so let me jump into this a little bit. Pretty much today, just trying to get you excited about being here, okay? It's an exciting class. It's a good class. I enjoy teaching it. I've been teaching it, like I say, I guess here for 25 years, and 4 times a year, for 25 years. That's 100 times. It's getting pretty good. So what it's rooted in is really a looking at these ideas of good government. In ancient China, you have a Confucianism. And Confucianism we'll deal with it because there's still a role for Confucianism today. But most countries in the world today are republics. And republics are, he wrote a book which we call it The Republics. He wrote politics. Actually, in the Greek, it's the same word. The polis, the res publica. What is the and he's got his book on ethics, and this is Aristotle, this is Plato. Deep, ideas of those guys talking, and especially how Christianity comes into this. We're going to see St. Augustine playing a good role in sort of bringing these ideas together. Here we are at a Christian college, and Point Loma and Ezra University exists to provide higher education in a vital Christian community where minds are engaged and challenged, character is molded and formed, service becomes an expression of faith. Being of Wesleyan heritage, our institution goes back to John Wesley. We aspire to be a learning community where grace is foundational, truth is pursued, and holiness is a way of life. This is distinctly us, but one of the things about our class is that you'll see that Aristotle is very deeply rooted in friendship and happiness and fellowship. The beginning of this book, first sentence, is that a polis, a city-state, a community, is a fellowship with an eye to the good. See, that's, this is written several hundred years before, several hundred years before Christ. Christianity develops, and Christ will talk about coming as, to bring freedom indeed, to a true freedom. And he'll talk about cities and Jerusalem and Babylon and become, and we're going to talk about the sort of historical context. It's very, very confusing, but very interesting, and very deeply us as the rhetoric of our modern American society works. This class is hugely applicable to your lives. You will not make any money out of this class. This will not help you have a hot tub or a BMW. The goal of this class, like with Aristotle and stuff, is wisdom. And wisdom especially about how humans should be, how we are, and especially how we coordinate life, okay? Especially life to be lived well, to be lived toward the good, okay? And so this is a great class. We are a general education class. It's now called foundational. I forget the term, foundational somethings, but we are a liberal arts there, and we're conforming to the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, trying to be informed by that. We're a Christian college, man. I'm a Christian. You're probably a Christian. We're all in this boat together. And we're trying to figure out what our role is. We are not some sort of just airy-fairy sort of separation of church and state that lives off in the distance. We have been completely integral to the creation of the modern world. And really, China, Islam, they follow Christian-developed political structures. We'll talk about that within the course and stuff, this Republican government thing. And so what we want to do is then sort of see how this works, and maybe how it doesn't work. In some places and stuff like that, it doesn't work, and how, like a big issue that comes up is voting. In the ancient world, when the people spoke, that was, people voted. There was all sorts of things, but it was a type of consensus of largely where rulers could feel like the happiness of the people is being supported. Okay, now we have created today a modern sort of very techno-mathematical world in which we mean one man, one woman, one man, one vote. We have certain, children don't vote, but we have this sort of very incremental, and we sit around, create statistics, and we do these votes in which 51% versus 49%, and 51% wins. Well, that's not consensus. That's things are changing. And so we have to sort of wrestle with this, like voting, term limits, things like this. These are all ideas that come out of the ancient world. But how they work and play out has become, it's modernized. But we're an ancient class. We're looking at just the roots of these things. But we want to look through, it's an anachronistic class because we sit today where we are, knowing, wow, the rhetoric we hear around us all the time. And then we want to go back and see, where does this come from? And I'm confident that when we see where it comes from, it can help us understand it better and maybe discern what's going on. And this is a general education issue. To be a citizen of your church, to be a citizen of the state, to be a citizen of the San Diego, citizen of the college. So what we are is members. And so this is a class about that kind of thing. It's not about becoming, having a vocation, a specific vocation. All of us are called to be citizens. And Paul uses this language. We'll read some of this stuff in the Bible. This language of citizenship. Our citizenship is in heaven, but right now our citizenship is in here. So, got to talk about these things. Now, one of the fun things about going to college, this is why I went to college. I like college. I've enjoyed college. I've never left college. But the thing is to go to places where they build buildings like this. Okay? This is Sather Tower at Berkeley. This is UCSB's Stork Tower. This is our little stubby tower, but it's a tower nonetheless, and they point. They point somewhere, and they have a reference. They're pointing. See? They got a goal, and that's what we're in this class for, is to, this is why you go to college. Otherwise go to technical school. College is to, struggle with this. So we're going to talk about these things and read about them. Now, as I mentioned, this idea of a republic, especially separations of power, the idea that you don't put too much power in one place. We're going to read some fascinating sections of Herodotus, where actually the first sort of articulations of a three-part government and that democracy is the most important, popular sovereignty is the most important part of it, and then also that you have to worry about putting too much power into one place, and so therefore term limits and rotations, checks and balances, all sort of come out of that. Where does that first get fully discussed? 500 BC in Iraq, in what is now the region of Baghdad, in Babylon, all right? And that's a fascinating thing, okay? The Persians, the Iranians are the people who discussed this stuff. Actually, I'm not sure that Herodotus says it's in Baghdad. We're going to have to look, all right? Okay, and then to finally do this is just civilization. In the world today, this term has become a type of tripartite global geopolitics, okay? So you have Islamic civilization, you have what's called an East Asian civilization or a Chinese-dominated civilization, and then you have what is called by us usually Western civilization, but it is a Christian-based civilization, and Christian classical is so we're going to spend a lot of time with the development of that Western civilization, because out of Western civilization is developed this notion of a republic, so that when you go around the world today, this is Xi Jinping of China, there's our former Secretary of State, and look at this picture. This is the People's Republic of China. The dress, the culture, the structures, there's so much that is adopted from Western civilization to them. So, you go around Egypt, all these countries around the world in South America, Central America, Africa are all republics. They're all republican structures. They have this three-part system of the one, the few, and the many, which we're going to talk about as it's discussed by everyone in the classical world. And so this becomes the dominant world way of thinking about politics. And yet, Xi Jinping has become a type of, he is not term limited anymore. That vote happened just in March 2018. What's he doing? What is an empire? And what is power is being concentrated in this one man. So that's a very interesting, development of the modern world. And we can see how Confucianism is actually sort of, playing into that. And that's going to come, we can see this in our class. So basically, want to finish up there with just that you should be excited about this class. And I'm excited about this class. This is the world we live in. And Republican or Democrat, all Christian versus non-Christian, a lot of these things, we're just going to look at sort of his history, how this mishmash of ideas sort of comes to us that we now are struggling with so much in the world today. The ideas of populism, for so much of for Aristotle, popular sovereignty and populism is a type of good thing. On the other hand, is that populism can lead to a type of bad thing. This is the sort of story of Julius Caesar. There's an empress in Chinese history. This is the story of. So, we're going to talk about this. This is a good course, but it's a course. It's a type of politics course, but it's a course about being a citizen, and we're all citizens of all these different things. I'm an elder in a Presbyterian church, and elders in Presbyterian churches are a type of senate. That's where the word senate comes from. Is the senex are the old people, and so we'll see in the Bible you have these gatherings of old people, and the old people are a senate, and they have certain powers and stuff like that. This is the way we still do things. Okay, I'm rambling, but we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna start off with, I guess, videos like this, and we'll be separated. Eventually, we're gonna get into a hybrid format. We're just doing what we're told, and so we're starting out. This is our Monday class, and follow the canvas. That's where I'm communicating with you most clearly about what's going on. There's another class on Wednesday, another class on Friday.